All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our newest episode. I don't know what number it is going to be because we have a lot in backlog, so forgive me on that. We have Christine back. Hi, Christine. Uh, so,
Howdy.
Chris, so I'm going to brag about you again, Christine Sneed, and I'm going to do it each time. I want to see how uncomfortable I can make you. So Christine is really, really impressive. I already mentioned this before, but she teaches at Stanford and Northwestern. She has had 3 books published and 3 anthologies. Her most recent, uh, her most recent books have been Please Be Advised, which came out in 2022, and her anthology Love in the Time of Times came out in 2023. We're going to have links below, so please check out her work. Um, this always gets me. She has been published in the most insane places. She's been in the New York Times, she's been in Chicago Tribune, as well as the prestigious The Best American Short Stories. And her awards, man. O. Henry Prize, the Grace Paley Prize in Short Fiction, and she was a finalist for the Los Angeles Times Book Prize. I couldn't mention all of her awards, so I just took 3. But you should definitely are they in your bio? Because they should definitely check that
They
out.
are, yeah, they're in there.
Okay, good. Um, she lived in Chicago for 20 years and then she moved to my favorite place, Pasadena, California. She's very close to 3 donut places. And right now, how are you feeling? Is it a gift or is it of not service to you right now, Christine, to be so close to donut places?
I always think of it as a gift.
Okay.
I don't have that much trouble staying away. I try also, like when I was working on a novel earlier this year, I would say whenever I finish a chapter, which would take a week or so, I'm like, I'll let myself get a donut. So, that was a good reward.
Good reward. We got to reward ourselves. We definitely have to reward ourselves. And then Christine, on her free time, collects stickers, right? We've talked about this before. So can you talk more about your stickers in this one?
Oh my God.
What are your favorite stickers?
I have so many. I really like animal stickers. I just, yeah, I can't even describe what they're just, there's literally,
Oh, she has them in front of her.
I have some, let me show you. Well, these are
Oh,
floral.
yes.
Michael's, as I said, is in our previous episode. I have to move this. Everything's the opposite. I don't know if you can see that, but there's
Yes,
I have
flowers.
like this is a whole pad of stickers that are.
Did you have
floral
Lisa
design.
Frank stickers?
Pardon?
Did you ever have Lisa Frank stickers?
I did. And then I've got like puffy. Someone sent me,
Oh,
a
those
student
are
of mine actually, when she
cute.
finished her thesis, sent me literally like 30 sheets of stickers. I don't know how much money she spent on this gift, but it was quite bountiful.
If Christine's students are listening to this, you know what to get Christine stickers.
No more. I really have a lot of stickers. I send them to people too.
But seriously, give her stickers because you're gonna give them to people, right? You're gonna put them on.
Yeah, I mean, on snail mail letters, which I don't write as many as I used to, but I still write. Yeah, I still write regular letters, not just emails.
Christine, thanks for talking about the stickers.
I'm
I
sure
also had a collection of stickers. Rocks and stickers were my thing.
Oh, that's great.
So, Christine, this episode we're talking about your writer's journey. Um, so, like, first, before we go into that, like, what do you define as a successful writer? Since this is plotting success.
It's so hard because success often means, this is something that you've heard probably many times. It means different things to different people. I think the most common sort of, conception of what success is you become famous in whatever field you're working in. You make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
People respect you, at least publicly they respect you. Who knows what happens privately, but you become an authority. In our case with writing, your books become bestsellers. You're someone who a lot of people know, not just, a few hundred readers. your books get reviewed, you win awards, you get to do events, you go to book festivals, you're a headline keynote speaker. Those are the things that I think a lot of writers aspire to. And the thing is, very, very few of us actually achieve those things.
Mhm.
So, and you don't know that when you start out, because
Mhm.
often that's what you're hoping you'll get. And
I did. I know I did. Were
yeah.
you ever that way?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't that I sat around thinking like, oh my God, I have to, you know, be a, I have to, I wanted to sell a lot of books, but it was never something that I consciously thought, like, I knew kind of that I wasn't writing genre fiction. So I was like, this is not the stuff that normally is going to be a bestseller. Because I write character driven rather than plot driven books. And
That's amazing that you realize that. I know a lot of people who don't realize that, right? They just expect because they're writing whatever they're writing for it to be successful. So that's cool that you realize that.
I wasn't even really consciously thinking about it. I think because I really came of age in the 90s, before social media and influencers and YouTube, before all that stuff existed, Facebook, even email. It was just in nascent stages when I entered grad school. I got my first email address in 1995,
That's
which
so
is
cool.
when I entered grad school. And it was great. I loved it. But I also, I was not, there were no such things as like people who were famous for being famous, like Paris Hilton and all these influencers. And I'm in LA, and you are too. So that there's like
Yeah.
houses that are rented out by investors who put people in them who have big followings on YouTube. And it's like, that's what people think success is now, a lot of times. And they want this really public facing success, which is
And
empty as far as I can see.
yeah, I mean, bless the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian. I used to judge her, and then she had like a interview she did where she talked about what she did to do that, and like that's hard work. Like there's, I feel like maybe some people can get out of hard work, but she works hard, right? And I'd rather just work hard on something I like, even if I'm not going to get, media attention
Right.
and everything. When did you, Christine, find out that you wanted to pursue writing? Like, how old were you?
I'd probably, since I was in high school, I was
Mm.
interested. Even before that, maybe I was interested, and I was writing. I was keeping a journal and writing poetry and all those things that you do as a pre-adolescent and adolescent. But I wasn't until I was studying in France my junior year in college that I realized, hey, this is actually, I can be a writer. I don't have to ask people for permission. I can just do it. And so then I graduated from undergrad, worked for 2 years in an office job. That is actually the basis of my novel and memos, because I worked in a corporate office and hated it. I also found it fascinating because it's just a microcosm of humanity and society, and it's dysfunctional. So
Similar, same. Like I wrote in undergrad. I worked at a call center at a bank, and I saw the best and the worst in people, and it just triggered me. I was like, I don't want this for the rest of my life. Like
no, no.
I'd
Yeah.
rather write and not be quote unquote successful than do this and have people be like, where's my money? I'm like, I didn't do anything to your money. You did whatever you did with your money.
Oh my God. No, call centers, that's a hard job. It just would not be, you would not see people's best sides.
No,
I don't know
I
where you
did
would,
sometimes.
ice cream stores, maybe.
I'm
I
sure
don't
you
know.
saw the best. Wait, you said you worked at an ice cream store?
No, I'm saying, where would you see someone's best side? Like their best, their good moods. Ice cream stores probably wouldn't, because some people will be in there like trying, they don't want to go. Like the donut shop, they're like, I know I should be here, but I'm going to be here anyway.
Well, they might also get offended if like there is like something in one of the ingredients that they can't.
Oh yeah, you're right.
In LA, at least.
Yeah, anything that is like service oriented, those are really hard jobs. Really
And
hard.
everyone should do them like at least once in their life.
I agree. It's a boot camp for humanity.
So you were working, and then was there like a light bulb moment? Did something specifically happen where you're like, I want to go back to pursuing writing?
Sort of. I was actually taking a poetry workshop in 1994. It was my the year after I graduated from undergrad, and I was taking a poetry workshop at this artist's residency estate up in Lake Forest, Illinois, which is about 40 minutes from Chicago. And they have Ragdale Foundation offers residencies, but they occasionally have classes. And I was taking a poetry workshop with this poet named David Wojan, who happened to be on the faculty at Indiana University. And he was reading, everyone's work. And I was saying, oh, I'm applying for grad school. I'm applying for an MA in literature. And he's like, well, why aren't you applying for an MFA? That's for writing. That's what you should be doing. If you want to write, that's the degree. So then I didn't even know it existed. And he was like, just apply to like 8 or 9 programs. So I did. And I got into several of them, but Indiana gave me the best deal. They gave me a full ride. So I had to teach. I was trained to teach undergraduate writing classes, and I was given a tuition remission, so I didn't have debt when I graduated from grad school, which is really the way to go if you can manage it. So that was it. And David was just like, what are you doing? Why are you going to apply for an MA? You should be applying for an MFA.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was great. And I just was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. This is what I want to do.
Were there any people that like you were inspired by that helped like keep you going? Like when you went into grad school, like, do you have any writer mentors that helped?
I did. I had a really wonderful poetry professor at Georgetown. My senior year, when I came back from the year abroad, I took a poetry workshop with this writer named Roland Flint. He was a really wonderful poet, just a funny, charming guy. He died prematurely from cancer in 2001, but it was in the early 90s at that point, so he was still hale and hearty. But he just, it was a great class, and he just sort of modeled, you just write and you read, and this is your life. And it's hard, but it was really meaningful. And I knew, that year, that semester, my spring semester of senior year, it was such an important experience. And it just, even though I worked for 2 years in a corporate office, I was writing steadily during those 2 years, and I was getting better, and I was reading a lot. So then I applied to grad school in 95. And as I said, I went to Indiana for my MFA in poetry.
Amazing. And since that time, like, what would you say some of the biggest obstacles have been in your path, like your career?
Well, the biggest is that as a writer who writes literary fiction and not, plot-driven, really commercial fiction, my sales have not been great. They've been fine, but not enough for corporate presses to keep publishing my work, at least as of the last 2 books that I sold, which were published in 2015 and 2016 to a big press. They were sold in July of 2013 together as part of a 2-book deal. So since then, I had an 8-year gap between when I was selling my new books that came out in 2022 and 2023. So I was writing steadily. I switched agents a few times. They couldn't sell manuscripts that they took me on for, that they're like, your sales track's terrible, but I love this book, so I'm going to try to sell it. And I think we can. Well, they couldn't. So I'd written a book, 4 times, essentially. I wrote 4 novels that I loved, which I couldn't sell. So then finally I published one of them, Please Be Advised, the novel, in Memos with a small press named 713 Books. And, I made no money. I did get some royalties, but I hired a publicist who was a friend, and she gave me a really good rate. But I still lost money, like thousands of dollars, because, it's not cheap to hire someone. Some publicists charge like $20,000 or $30,000 a month for one book. My publicist charged a fraction of that for a few months worth of work.
Christine, thank you so much for sharing that. Like, I think it's really important for people to hear that.
I don't mind talking about it at all.
Yeah, thank you. No, you didn't interrupt me. Just because like Christine has had so many impressive things on her resume, I think it's great for people to hear that. One thing that I notice when I'm coaching people is they think, once I get here, this will happen, right? And I had that too. Like, once I get into Carnegie Mellon, everything is going to be great. Once I get to LA and I get these awards, everything's going to be great. And each time that didn't happen for me, right? So I think it's wonderful to just be aware that no step promises success financially, right?
No, alas. I mean, I'm fortunate in
Alas
that
is right.
I have I mean, I hope it's indefinite. You know, I hope it's indefinite. I need to keep working to pay my
Yes.
bills, but I'm not tenure track at either Northwestern or Stanford, and my administrative job as faculty director at Northwestern is part time. So you know, it's the way education has been changed by administrators who are trying to cut costs and put resources into building new buildings and you know, turning the campuses into Disneyland for students. That's essentially what's happening, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. So, faculty, if there are tenured faculty, they're making an okay living. They're getting pensions and insurance and summers off if they choose. Whereas I'm an adjunct, despite all the awards and all the publications. I teach as an adjunct. No, you know, safety net. It's just like I teach and work all the time. And that
stresses me out. It stresses me out.
It's like most people now, writing people, like writers, teachers, most of us are not full time. Like we don't have benefits. We hope maybe we have a partner who can support us or we have a trust fund. But, you know, I don't have either of those. So my partner's in grad school, thank goodness. He loves it. But it's not like we're making money. You know, we're not rich. And if you're living in Pasadena, obviously you're paying a certain amount of rent or you own a house and you're wealthy enough to buy a house. But, you know, we rent and we work our buns off to pay our rent. So we chose to live here. So no one's going to cry for us. But you really, if you're a person in the arts, it's never been easy to make a living, but it's never been this hard. Like it's never been as hard as it is now.
So hopefully like we'll just keep making these episodes and we'll be learning from each other on how to make things work. Like Christine on the side, obviously you teach. Is there anything else you do? Because like I know everyone has.
Yeah.
Say what?
I write a Substack and I have a fair number of subscribers. So I have a lot of free subscriptions and I have some paying subscribers. Under 200 paying subscribers. It says Substack's interesting. It's kind of tricky. It'll say like, you know, you have 5,000, you know, subscribers when in fact you have like 4,001. So as soon as you flip over to the next number, they basically say, oh, you actually have this, and it's not real. So it says I have hundreds of paying subscribers. I think I have 160.
Which is amazing. That's really good.
I mean, I don't know, but I do.
Well, for you, maybe it's like because you've got goals, right? You want to get to a higher goal in the future, but that's really impressive. So let's just pause and say,
yeah, it's great. You know, and I have like 1,600 subscribers all told. Well, almost 1,700 now. But
that's great.
It's work. Like I have to every 6 days I post either an interview with another writer that I've crafted with them, some sort of essay about the writing life, or a list of agents who are accepting queries. So it's, you know, it's on top of the other work that I do. It's a commitment, but I'm happy to be making a little bit of money from it. Nothing like George Saunders, who has 135,000 subscribers, and a lot of them are paying subscribers.
Wow.
So, and he's already doing quite well. So I'm just, you know, I'm in awe of how he's managed to. He probably could live on his Substack income if he didn't. I mean, he's adult children, but he probably could, like if his overhead were lower than what I imagine it is.
So going into lovelier waters, like what have been like your happiest moments so far with writing? Because I'm curious, like what has made you happy with your career?
You know, every time I get a new story acceptance, I'm very happy. It's really exciting. I mean, I've had a lot of stories published by now, but every time I get an acceptance, it's like someone liked it. You know, they want it. A few people are gonna read it. You know, and I'm not unrealistic. It's a few people. It's not a lot of people. You know, even though
celebrate.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll get a donut.
A donut, you should. Like, you got to get the donuts.
Yeah. So I just, you know, and then also like, you know, at the time, like when I first started publishing books in 2010, and a lot of really nice things happened with that first book, Portraits of a Few of the People I've Made Cry, which was the one that won the Grace Paley Prize.
I love that title. I had to tell you, I love that title.
Thank you. And that book actually was the finalist for the LA Times Book Prize for First Fiction. It got a bunch of other awards, Chicago Writers Association Book of the Year, a number of things, which I had no clue were actually hard to get because they came so easily. Plowshares awarded me their Zacharias Prize, which they give every year to a new book by a debut, I think. And, you know, I just didn't realize how hard it was to win these things because they just came out of the blue. And then my other 3 books that I published with Bloomsbury also got a number of awards or were finalists for various things. But these 3 most recent, nothing. So and I've entered a number of things. And they're as good as my other books. So I've just noticed how things have changed.
That's so fascinating. Yeah, that's really interesting that you're
And
seeing it from the other side.
And they're also paperback originals. All of those other 4 books were all hardcover initially, and then they went into paperback. So there's a sort of ranking or a hierarchy. Like if your book's in hardcover, I think people just naturally assume it's important and better than a book that's a paperback original. There are books that are paperback originals that have been very successful.
Yeah.
Like Christina Baker Klein's Orphan Train, which was a huge bestseller, and it was a paperback original. But most writers want hardcovers, even though most readers want paperbacks, because hardcovers are now like $30 a pop in many cases. They're really expensive, and that's because the profit margin for publishers is bigger on hardcovers than it is for paperbacks. It might cost them $6 or $7 to print a hardcover, but they charge $30. So and bookstores have a 40% discount too. So they're making like $8 a book if you're selling a hardcover, whereas with a paperback, maybe you're making $2. So but it's a terrible model. Like I have a lot of hardcovers, but I wish they were paperback because they take up less space.
Yeah. I also noticed that like ebooks are more expensive as well, which is awesome if you're like in indie published.
They sometimes are. Like my press, Northwestern University Press, that published my most recent book, Direct Sunlight, which is stories, last June. So it's a little less than a year now. They priced the ebook at $19, and the paperback is $20, because they don't actually want to sell the ebook. But the problem is, most people, if they read ebooks, they're not going to buy the paperback. So they're just not going to buy the book. So it's completely screwed up. Like anyway, it's stupid. Like it's not like anyone's asking my opinion, but here I am giving it. But there's
please, I'm asking. Christine, no, I have asked.
At presses, they're just like, we're just going to do what we're going to do. But it's like, you're not doing anyone any favors if you're pricing the ebook this almost the same as a hard copy of the book, because no one's going to buy the ebook. Yeah. And again, people who would buy it are not going to buy the paperback or the hardcover. They're probably just going to find some other way to get it if they even bother. They'll get it from the library or borrow it from a friend, or who knows, or just probably not read it.
Christine, I'm being a little nosy here, but like, what are you working on anything right now? Like, are you writing anything that you can talk about?
Going on. It's just it's not nosy. That's why we're here to talk. Yeah. I've recently finished a novel it's technically probably YA because the protagonist is 16 and 17 and it spans about a year. And I was advised by a former agent of mine to write a YA novel because he's one of the agents who took me on despite my sales track, who tried to sell this book that it just brings joy to my heart. It's just this movie sex comedy, which Doug couldn't sell. And he said, write a YA book. We'll hit the reset button on your career. Well, I wrote a YA book. He didn't like it, so he dropped me as a client. Then I wrote some other stuff, and I worked with a different agent who then couldn't sell those books either. And then I wrote another YA book, which is the one that I finished. But at the same time, I also have been working on a couple of novels for adult readers. So not adult protagonists are the focus of those books. And I still write short stories, and then I write stuff for my Substack. And I sort of stopped writing scripts after writing more than a dozen in a pretty short period of time. Some of them were collaborations with a couple of other people, but I kind of burned out because I feel like in Hollywood, it's just so difficult to sell anything anymore.
Yeah.
Even I am in
Anything
the WGA.
new,
I
right?
actually qualified to be in the WGA, but I've not been trying hard to have meetings, general meetings with people, because I've just not been focusing on writing scripts. And I adapted some of my novels. I wrote pilots and feature scripts, but I mean, I kind of am like fiction. I love movies, but as far as writing goes, fiction is really my first love as a writer, and I'm capable at it. So I'm just like,
Sure.
this is also just what I enjoy reading, and who am I fooling? I am a fiction writer. And I love writing scripts too, but I just sort of was like, I'm just throwing money. Like, I enter script contests. There, you kind of have to, like, I'm prepared. Like, if someone happens to see something and, asks me for, do you have any scripts? Well, I have stuff, but I'm not out there actively. I did submit one script to the Nickel this year, but other than that, I wasted like thousands of dollars, Can you still see me? I think I froze for a second.
I could see you. And
Okay.
Also the way it goes is the StreamYard will download your footage. And so like even if it freezes, we still have you.
Oh, okay, great.
Which is amazing. Yeah. So just going on that subject a little bit, Christine, if you could go back 10 years and talk to your 10-year back self, like what would you tell her?
Oh my God. It's, the sad thing is, like, at that 2014, I was just finishing writing my third published book, Paris, He Said. And I'd sold it the previous year with The Virginity of Famous Men, which was my second story collection and my fourth published book. And I just sort of dumbly assumed I'm just going to keep writing, a novel every year or two, and I'm going to be able to publish them. Maybe Bloomsbury will keep publishing my work because I know my editor there really likes it. And my novel Little Known Facts was reviewed on the cover of the New York Times Book Review. So that was an exciting moment for my editor and for me.
Yeah.
And the book didn't sell that well. It got nice acknowledgments, and I got a few more literary citations and awards. But I just assumed, like, oh, you're just going to keep, publishing, and you're going to be able to make some part of your living. Not probably a lot of money, but enough to not have to teach constantly. And I think I would just say, it's so hard, because I would have been devastated if I'd known how hard it would be, but I think I would just say, you can handle this. Like, it's going to be incredibly shitty, and you're going to be angry, and you're going to be disappointed, and it's going to be hard, but you still find fun things to be, happy about, and you laugh a lot. I mean, like, my ability to deal with all the disappointments, despite my impressive CV. I've had so many disappointments. Like, people with big CVs usually have a lot of disappointments because we've tried for a lot of things that we haven't gotten, along with the things we have
CV
gotten.
Is that resume?
Yeah, a curriculum.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I would, just like, the secret to being happy in life is be easily amused.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, I've said that before. Like, it dawned on me several years ago. I'm like, I could deal with all this shit that I've had to deal with and not making that much money, despite having, as I said, a great resume, because I have a sense of humor, and I still find a lot of things funny. And I have friends. Like, it's great. Like, you need people in your life who will be there for you. And I try to do the same for friends of mine. So
Christine, this is so good. Like, you're just such a joy to listen to and learn from. Thank you for being on another episode. Plotters, you can find Christine on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We're going to be including the links below in the description box. We're also going to be including her website so you can find her, as well as Amazon and how you can purchase her books. For us, if you enjoyed this video, so that YouTube knows, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell so that YouTube will send this your way. And if you're interested in getting some free content from me, you can click the link below. The light bulb next to it will be the link. and you can get a free anti-writer's block checklist directly into your email box. And if you're looking to work with me one-on-one to get to your writing goals, just click on the link next to the pencil mark. And thank you all for watching. Christine, thank you again.